Hey, what is going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and today we're talking about the iPhone 16 and the 16 Pro. Now, of course, these devices have yet to be released, but until now we have a lot of reports regarding the new changes and the improvements that are coming to these devices. So we're going to compare both of them and maybe help you decide which one is better for you and which one you should buy, whether you should buy the iPhone 16 or the iPhone 16 Pro version. Now, as far as the release date goes, as you probably know by now, Apple has announced their conference, so it will be on September 9th. That's the day that Apple will present these devices to the public and then start the pre-order, which usually would start on a Friday of that same week, but this year they expected to actually start on a Thursday, so expect the pre-orders to start on the Thursday, and most likely the devices then will ship right here on the 19th or the 20th of September. And of course on the 16th we will have the release of the new iOS 18. So what are some of the main differences between the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Pro? Now, first of all, let's talk about displays. Now, this year there will be a difference on display size. Usually you would have the exact same display size for the 16 and then the 16 Pro, and then we will have the exact same for the 16 Plus to the 16 Pro Max. But this year the Pro version will have different sizes of the display. They will actually have a bigger display. In this case, you will not notice any big difference in the size of the phone, but the edges will be thinner here, the bezels will be way thinner. So the iPhone 16, you're looking at a 6.1 inch display when you compare it to the iPhone 16 Pro, which will have a 6.3 inch display. Now the Plus, or the bigger versions of the phones, the 16 Plus will have the 6.7 display, and then the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which physically should look very identical to this one, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, will have a bigger display, of course, due to the thinner bezels, and the display of this device will be at 6.9 inches. Now, when it comes to displays, one of the most important things is the refresh rate of the device. Now, if you have used before an iPhone, a Pro version with a 120 Hz refresh rate like this one right here, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then you move to a 60 Hz refresh rate, you will notice the difference is really big. Like I have here the 15 Pro Max. When I use my iPad mini, which has just like the 60 Hz refresh rate, it's actually a big difference. So this year again, unfortunately, Apple is still putting only 60 Hz of refresh rates on the screens of their iPhones, the non-Pro versions. So the iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus will have a refresh rate of 60 Hz, while of course the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max will feature the exact same 120 Hz refresh rate like the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. Now, of course, there will be also the difference on the build of the phones. The non-Pro versions, the 16 and the 16 Plus, will have the aluminum design just like this year, and of course the titanium design like this one right here is also coming to the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max. Now, one great thing that Apple is doing with these devices this year is, even though they have a difference on their chip, the non-Pro versions have the A18 chip, while of course the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max will have the 18 Pro chip. Both of these devices are again getting the Apple Intelligence features, just like you have on the Pro versions of the iPhone 15 series. As you probably know, the iPhone 15 series, only the Pro versions will actually get the Apple Intelligence features, but on the 16 series, Apple is also putting the Apple Intelligence features on all devices. The A18 and the A18 Pro are still getting Apple Intelligence. There will also, of course, be some differences when it comes to the cameras. Apart from the design, which of course they will have a different design, the 16 Pro, you can expect to have the exact same design right here on the back, just like the iPhone 15 Pro. But the 16 and the 16 Plus will have a different layout for the cameras. They will have two lenses, of course, laid out like this vertically. So there will, of course, despite the design, there will be changes and differences on the cameras as well. So the iPhone 16 and the 16 Plus will have a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens, while the ultra wide lens on the 16 Pro series will be a 48 megapixel lens. And also when it comes to optical zoom, 2x optical zoom on the non-Pro versions, while the Pro versions are getting the 5x optical zoom. Next up is the Wi-Fi changes. Well, on the non-Pro versions, you will get the 6E Wi-Fi connection, while Wi-Fi 7 is coming to the Pro versions. Of course, there will be also differences when it comes to battery. So on the iPhone 16, you can expect to have a battery of 3,561 milliamp hours, while there will be a 4,006 milliamp hours battery on the 16 Plus. Now, of course, the iPhone 16 Pro will have the device's battery at 3,355, which when you compare it to the non-Pro version, the iPhone 16 is actually a bit smaller. Now, of course, the biggest battery of all of these will be the 16 Pro Max, which will feature a battery of 4,676 milliamp hours. There will be also changes and, of course, differences when it comes to storage. The iPhone's non-Pro versions will start at 128 gigs, 256, and then 512. While the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max will start at 256, move on to 512, and then 1 terabyte as well. Now, as far as the price go, you can expect basically the same prices as last year. The iPhone 16 starting at around $800, $900 for the 16 Plus, while the iPhone 16 Pro should start at the $1,099, while the 16 Pro Max will of course again be the most expensive device, starting at $1,199 for the 256 gigs model and move up from there. So that's basically it for this video, guys. As far as we know by now, these are the main differences between the iPhone 16 and the 16 Pro. So as we could see from these leaked details, as usually the main differences between these devices will be the displays and of course the cameras. Of course, we have also different chips, but probably something that you cannot even notice on daily use, and due to the fact that both of the devices are still getting Apple Intelligence, even though with the differences on their chips, that makes it actually very good for non-Pro buyers. Also, as you can see, there's differences in batteries as well, but when it comes to batteries, it's really interesting because the devices with non-Pro version have a lower hertz rate for their screen, so that way they will consume less battery. And even though they consume less battery, one of them, like the iPhone 16, has even a bigger battery compared to the iPhone 16 Pro, so it's getting probably a lot more battery life. So these are some of the main differences. Hopefully this will help you decide easier which device you should buy once it gets released. Hope you guys also enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. I'll see you on the next one.